Hi guys, so as promised today I'm going to do the Rock Werchter review, and what can I say, it was such an amazing trip and I feel like in many ways I'm still there. But today I'm just going to give you a rundown, a review of the bands and what happened during that week, since I didn't really do that much of it in the vlog, and some advice if you ever want to go there in the future. So, start off with Wednesday 4th of July, we flew down from Brussels. We went down there from Edinburgh, and when we got there we got the train from Brussels Airport down to Leuven, and from Leuven we got the shuttle bus over to the site. Now I do need to point something out: if you're getting the bus from Leuven over the day before the festival actually starts. So we went there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which was the wrong time to go because the queue was absolutely massive. We had to wait for about an hour to get on the bus, and everyone's taking the camping gear with them. Everybody who's familiar with festivals should probably know about that. If you're going to a queue and going to festivals and camping, there's always going to be folk with loads of stuff bringing the campsite. So my advice to that is, if you're going to go get the bus down there, hang about in Leuven for a bit, go get something to eat, get a proper meal or something. Don't make the mistake of not having a proper meal till we got to the site, which was a bit too long anyway. So we got there at 3 o'clock, after an hour's wait. We got there about 4 o'clock. And then when we got to the site, we had to walk a bit up the road. So basically there's one road that connects the whole place. And when we got to the Hive campsite, we had to go through the one gate to get our combi ticket and our camping tickets. So we got wristbands for that. And then when we got there, we also had to go for a big bag check as well. Now, this is another reason I'd recommend going after like 6 o'clock and stuff. Because the campsite, especially the Hive campsite, to stop people picking like random places, we basically had to wait behind the rope. So basically they open it in sections at a time. So what happened was we had to wait behind a rope, and about 20 minutes or so we waited at this rope, and when it dropped everyone just ran for it over to their designated spot. Well, a spot they were trying to pick, and it was horrible. It was pretty much like doing a wall of death at a concert. So yeah, I'd wait till a little bit later, but we got set up and everything, and after that it was all fine. So now I'm going to talk about what happened to some of the bands and on the day. So the first day, on the Thursday, they had it across 4 days instead of our usual 3, which was actually better because it meant we saw a lot more people. So on the Thursday, the first band we saw was Rival Sons, first band on the main stage, and they were pretty good, although I didn't really know much of their songs, so I didn't really have much comment on them. Next up we had Race River, Rapture, who I was quite excited to see. Had a bit of an infatuation with them for a while. So when we saw them, before they went on actually, it was quite a funny story. They had basically, you could hear the speakers getting turned up and up and up, but the guy who was DJing for them, he had it cranked to the absolute max, and it was really, really good. So yeah, they were fantastic. I'll check them out. Even if you're like, not into rap, if you take them, or grime or anything like that, if you take them for what they are, they're just fantastic. So if you're into that sort of stuff, I'd absolutely recommend them. And then with the main stage, I've got to admit, I was quite impressed with outside the Golden Circle. They had 5 gates, and Jeff Ellis of DFC Concerts, who runs Transmitting in the Park. If you come across this, you need to take example from this for the future events, because if you do this for the Golden Circle, it'll actually ease it off a bit. They had 5 gates outside the Golden Circle with green arrows on top of them, and basically you could go in, and when they hit capacity, they shut the gates and they put red X's up to say no one else could get in, which was a much better idea. So the next band we saw, another band on the main stage, The Vaccines. I'd heard about them for a while, but never really got around to seeing them till now, and I have to say I was quite impressed by them. A couple of songs they did, like the songs I did, The Teenage Icon and If You Wonder, they were fantastic, so I absolutely recommend checking them out. Then we saw Alice in Chains. Now I've seen them a few years ago at Download, and to be honest they were okay, but honestly I didn't really know much of their songs, but honestly like they're pretty good, so you check them out. And then the next band I saw, which was a band in the Barn, which is one of the venues they got, and what I was impressed about in the Barn and the Club C is they had the arrows again, the green arrows, and they put the red X's when they shut the gates, so that was a pretty good, but they were pretty big venues anyway. So the next band we saw was at the Drive-In, and when we saw them, they were pretty good. The band was recommended to me by 2 Australian guys who I'd done the trip with, so thanks for recommending to me, those guys. So they were pretty good, quite mental. They went on stage about 10 minutes late because just before they were about to go on, the guitarist guy found out that he just had a child, so that's why their set got cut a bit short. I was fairly impressed by them, so good on you. So after that, we hung around for a bit. We hung about on the slope for a bit. Now the slope in the arena is a good place to, if you want to just relax and stuff, and it's good for like just chilling and stuff, because there was a lot of people there, and if you found a good spot, it's like it was good to just chill and just have a drink and stuff like that. But anyway, so let's get on to the headliners. First up was Queens of the Stone Age, and I'd seen them a couple of years ago at Download as well, and to be honest, I thought they were alright. I wasn't not like a big fan of them, but this completely changed my opinion of them. Every song they did was spot on, and anybody who heard about Rock Werchter, there was a guy dressed as Spiderman. I'll put the full video of that in the link of what happened there. The guy dressed as Spiderman, he crowd set to the front of the stage, and he got on the top of them as well, so we got on the stage, so that was fantastic. And Josh Home was making a lot of jokes about it as well. It was pretty funny. They were really good. And then last band of the night, Gorillaz, Damon Albarn, who I'd seen a few years ago with Blur, so this was really weird watching it for me, because I'd been 2 feet from him a few years ago, and this was just a bit weird. But I have to say, they just completely, again, just blew me away. Just a lot of songs they did. A lot of songs from my childhood, particularly because I grew up around about that time and stuff, so they were really, really good. And to be honest, I thought Damon Albarn wasn't going to talk much, but no, he was really laughing, joking. Anybody who's at Worship will remember his chant of Eden, Eden Hazard, Eden Hazard. There's a reference to the fact the Belgium game was on the next day. Now I'm going to talk about the World Cup a little bit in this, because it was quite important as it was on about the same time, but I'll get onto that in a minute. So he tried the chant of Eden Hazard, and I only realised this when he got back. The Eden Hazard was also a Chelsea player, and as some people might know, Damon Albarn's a Chelsea supporter, so that's why that all came from. It was quite funny, so yeah, it made the night really, really good. So that was that for day one. Next up, we got the Friday, day 2, and there was a lot of indie bands on that day, so I expected a lot of good things to happen on this day. So the first act we saw was an act we saw just a couple of days before at Transmit, the Catinas, and this was such a contrast from when we saw them at Transmit, because they were the first act opening the main stage, there was only I'd say probably about 150 people there watching it in the front of the main stage, and they only went on for about half an hour, and to be honest, like to me, they should have played more songs off of St. Jude, but it didn't really matter though, because to be honest, like just seeing them with just not being like far away from them was actually really good. And even they say like they're expecting no one to turn up, but just having that many folk there, just intimate like that, was really good. So that was that. And then the next 2 bands we saw Wolf Alice as well, who we were meant to see at Transmit, but never got round to seeing them. But we saw them at Worship, and to be honest, they were alright, but just weren't my cup of tea really. Not like when I saw them at Summer Sessions a couple of years ago with Biffy Clyro and Fall Out Boy. I'd say they were better then, but this just really didn't do it for me, really. Just, if anybody's a fan of Wolf Alice, I'm sorry, but that was just my opinion. And then the next act we saw, was IMDBB, another act that played the Transmit, but I ended up seeing here instead, and she was pretty good. Like, I was quite impressed with how, like, she was so sensual, she was so, like, there a lot of things, but yeah, I'd say she was pretty good. And then these next 3 bands, I couldn't even describe to you how good it was going to be. So the next band we saw was Snow Patrol, and saw them on the main stage, and this is where the World Cup comes back into it. So basically they were meant to go on, I think it was 7:15, they ended up going up 7:10 because the Belgian game was on straight after it, but anyway. So went on at 7:10, Gary Lightbody was just like, okay, you all know pretty much what's about to happen next, so we're pretty much just going to get straight onto it. So they came on and they did a few songs. They did the song Run, Open Your Eyes, Shut Your Eyes, Chasing Cars, which to be honest, for a few years I couldn't listen to that song because it was just so overplayed when it came out that I was just put off for many years. But seeing it there kind of changed my opinion on it. Like, he's really good, and just in every way, just it's an amazing song. But then I was meant to play a few more because they were meant to get an hour set, but it was about 45 minutes at that point. That was the last song they did, and that time their set got cut short because the Belgian game was about to start. Now, again, this is where the World Cup comes back into it for me. So basically, I'll put a video of this right here. There was a whole load of people watching it on the screens where they had the acts for the Barn and Club C on for watching the football. So it was okay, but I just didn't really agree with the fact, because I'm more of a music person myself, I'm not really that much into football, despite the fact I'm talking about this, because it was an important part of the trip and stuff. But yeah, it didn't really make sense to me that much. It's just like, why did everything get stopped because of this? But to be honest, because it was the Belgium game, like, could sort of understand why. But anyway, at least it didn't really impact on like it too much. So after that, we decided to go to Club C to see Franz Ferdinand. Now, they were a band that were famous back a few years ago, about the time when Snow Patrol, The Killers and all that, they came out. But Franz Ferdinand, I couldn't even describe to you what I was about to see. So, we went in Club C and we were only expecting like probably at least about a good few thousand people there, but this capacity, the capacity for Club C and probably the barn as well, I think about 10,000, so the same at the SECC for Hall 4 in Glasgow, same capacity for that place, but I swear to God, I've never seen it so full, and I was like, wow, all these people see Franz Ferdinand, wow, like, what's going on? And I thought, there was part of me that thought to myself, I was thinking, yeah, are they actually this famous? But as soon as they came on, everything about the set was just perfection. Despite the fact I haven't heard some of their newer songs, like I've heard their older songs, and the song Take Me Out. Now, anybody who's familiar with them will know, as soon as they play that song live, I can't describe to you how much it goes off when they play that song live. So literally, everybody around you just up, down, just what you would not believe. So their set was just fantastic, and to be honest, I think they drew a bigger crowd than what London Grammar did on the main stage. Although I didn't really see London Grammar, but I could have a pretty good guess that happened. So that was that, and then on to our Friday night headliners, The Killers. So I've waited a few years to see this band, and to be honest, I was really excited for them. I went seeing them in Glasgow because they were playing Transmit on the Sunday. Go see them there along with Franz, so it was better seeing them in Belgium to see Franz and that, but they saw The Killers. So they did all the songs I liked, and when they first came out, they did Read My Mind, Smile Like You Mean It, they did Somebody Told Me. It was the first song I ever heard by them, and I was so happy when they did. The first song on the first album, Jenny Was a Friend of Mine, that was just unbelievable. And then for the encore, now usually what they would do is that they did When You Were Young first, and then they would do Human somewhere in the other set, but they did When You Were Young just before the encore, and for the encore they did Human and Mr. Brightside. Now, Human was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. Mr. Brightside, on the other hand, now this is going to be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but to me that was a bit anticlimactic, but I'll tell you why. So because they did Human, and that's very kind of like synth dance orientated, they did a sort of synth intro remix into Mr. Brightside, and sang the first verse to it. But all of us and everyone around was just like, we're not going to take this seriously until the guitarist guy played that riff. So when he did, everything was just perfect. But the only downside was, when he done that, I was expecting them to play the whole song again, but that didn't happen. They just went from the guitar riff into the second verse, then the rest of the song, and that was it. And I was like, what? Could have just played the whole song again, please? Anyway, it was still good seeing them, so it was fantastic. And now, on to the Saturday, and the day that was most hyped for the whole weekend, and probably the most hyped day for me as well, because we had Stone Sour, and me being a massive Slipknot fan, was really happy to see them again. So, let's get on to it. So the first band we saw was this band called The Last International, which they were pretty good hard rock band, and I have to say I was pretty impressed with their set, despite the fact throughout the whole week the heat was absolutely scorching. Apart, the only time it wasn't like absolutely blistering was at night on the first day we were there on the Thursday, and it's rained a bit, but I have to admit it was a light relief compared to the rest of the weekend. Now I will say this about the arena, I'm going off topic a little bit. For the arena, when there was a big enough arena, but there was about 100,000 people there, 120 easily a day, and when it was that blistering heat and there was no adequate bathing facilities, like what they had at T in the Park, which they should have done, and anybody who organises Rock Werchter is watching this, you should take note of this. So when they did Ballardo at T in the Park, Ballardo, sorry, they put a log flume in there for when it was sunny, so they had a log flume in there, which was good, just a fairground attraction, but they really should have installed one for the Rock Werchter arena for that weekend because it was just so hot. But anyway, that was just my opinion. So anyway, back to the band. So we saw The Last International, they were pretty good, and we hung about a bit. We went round to, as I put in the beginning of the vlog, we put round to a bit where they had some art stuff. They had like what was their version of the Smirnoff House of Transmit, which was pretty good. Although the other thing I'd say about the arena was there was a lot of sand about, and to be honest, like I'm not a big fan of sand, but when it came to the arena, because of the amount of people there needed it, so the ground didn't get too muddy. Like anyway, so back to it. The next bands we saw was Stereophonics, and there's another band I liked from a few years ago when I was getting into like sort of more indie bands and stuff like that. And I have to admit, they were brilliant, like really chilled out, and because of the amount of people they're watching, I thought this is brilliant. And they played Transmit as well, but it was better seen in Belgium for me. Then next up, we had Stone Sour, and just any time you see Corey Taylor live, this is always going to be a guaranteed riot. So when we saw him, like, they did all the sort of songs they did. They did 30, 30, 150, they did some songs from the new album, and they did Through Glass, one of my favourites as well, so that was really good. And then we hung about for a bit, and then the next act we saw was Jack Johnson. Now Jack Johnson was another artist I liked from back in the day, from a few years ago, and to be honest, like, I hadn't really listened to him for a while, but then the crowd he drew was just unbelievable, and the songs he did, they were very like chilled out sort of guy. But what really made me laugh was the fact that Jack White and Pearl Jam, who were playing later, they were watching him on the side of the stage. And what was really good, he brought Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam out at the end to do a song with him, which was fantastic. And then onto the act for the headliner, Jack White, who was also really excited to see. And to be honest, for most of his set, contrary to what you saw, he played a lot of his solo stuff, which I thought, yeah, it's alright, but I'm just so glad he played Fell in Love with a Girl, Icky Bump, Steady As She Goes, and Seven Nation Army, songs that will always be part of my childhood, and songs that are pretty important to me for various reasons. I'll go on about it another time. And then we had our headliners, Pearl Jam. Now, before the festival, I hadn't really listened to Pearl Jam that much. I'd heard like Even Flow and that sort of thing. Like, I like that song from Guitar Hero and that, but I didn't really like listen to them properly. But this festival, like, if you haven't seen Pearl Jam before, you should definitely check them out, because they're an amazing live band, and even if you don't like a few of their songs, they're still worth to see live. And if you do see them live, you're pretty privileged, as we were, to have seen them, because they don't play that many shows these days. Like, they don't even come to Scotland, which for what reason I don't know why. Don't know if they've been. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if they have ever been to Scotland. So that was that, and Jack Johnson came out again with Eddie, and they've done John Lennon's Imagine, if you saw that in the blog. And again, just a brilliant day, 2 hours, and they closed with Barbara O'Reilly from The Who, so that was brilliant. And again, just an absolutely brilliant day. Okay, so the last day, the Sunday, and to be honest, there wasn't a lot of bands I wanted to see, and because everybody was getting a bit tired and it was the last day, everybody was kind of like winding down and stuff. But anyway, it was still a good day for some various reasons, and we're going to get onto it. So the first band we got around to seeing was Pale Waves, another band I think played at Transmit as well, but we caught them just like they were playing on the slope, so we watched them. They were alright, but they've still got a few years to go, see if they take off a bit more. But yeah, just a few mixed feelings. I thought they were alright, like, but we'll see what happens in the next few years. And then, to be honest, there wasn't that many other bands I wanted to see that day. But the next band we ended up seeing was Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, who we wanted to see. So we'd seen Liam at Transmit, and I think we were privileged in that respect again to see them both over those 2 weekends. So we saw Liam at the Transmit weekend, and then we saw Noel the next, and he was pretty good. Again, like Jack White, he did a lot of his solo stuff, well, the High Flying Bird stuff, which I thought was good. Well, I haven't personally listened to that much myself, but when he did those songs, Half the World Away, he did his own version of Wonderwall, and Liam did Wonderwall as well, so I think it was good to hear both their versions of it, so it was good to hear like the comparisons and stuff like that. No, for the record, Noel's the one who wrote Wonderwall, so in a way it kind of felt more authentic, although Liam does do Wonderwall really well as well, and it's really emotional anytime you see it, so it is a good song. And then he did Don't Look Back in Anger, now that's Noel's specialty. So that was that, and then he closed with All You Need Is Love by the Beatles, which was just, again, fantastic. So good on him for that. But it pretty much is obvious that Oasis are influenced by the Beatles, so it was good to see him. Then I didn't really put any footage of this again, but I know a lot of people have probably been wanting me to talk about this since it was at Rock Werchter this year, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And I heard from a lot of people that he is absolutely fantastic, and his sets and that are good. But to be honest, for me, like, just because when I go to gigs, I expect there to be a sort of excitement and a sort of like edge to the songs where like he gets the whole crowd going and everybody's singing. But Nick Cave didn't really do that for me, to be honest with you guys. And there was a few reasons for that. There was a few songs that was just It's more because I think he was on that more from the 70s. Like, it just felt like more like a prog concert in many ways. He's a good performer in that, and in my songs in, I do like the song. It was in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Oh Children. I do really like that song anyway. He didn't do that, but that's why I didn't really get any footage of it, because I just thought in a way he was just a little bit boring. But yeah, just not, Nick Cave didn't do it for me. But what was worth going there on Sunday still see, was seeing the Arctic Monkeys again. So we had them for the end of Transmit, and we had them for the end of this weekend as well. And to be honest, there was still a big crowd there, because there was a lot of people from down south and from England as well. So like, there was still quite a big crowd there. And the thing with the Golden Circle again, this was a good thing. Like, what I didn't realise is I went to see the Killers down the front, and what I didn't realise about the Golden Circle was the gates were still shut just before the headliner was about to go on. But what I didn't realise is they were letting people out first before they let the next batch of people in. So everybody was lining up to get in the Golden Circle, but when we did eventually get in, and it was okay, you knew you weren't going to be crushed, unlike Transmit where it was just a free-for-all. That's why going to see, was it Catfish, the Bottlemen there last year, wasn't enjoyable. Again, Jeff Ellis, see my video of this about the turnstiles. If you see that, you need to take example from that. So, as for the Arctic Monkeys set, again, they played some of the similar songs they did when they played Transmit, with a few differences. They did the usual favourites, did Brainstorm. I was so happy when they did The View from the Afternoon again, and they did A Bit Look on the Dance Floor, they did the songs off AM, and now that I've heard the song, now, see when the new album, Tranquility Based Hotel and Casino, came out, a lot of the fans wasn't too particularly impressed with it, because it was just, in a way, it was just a bit slow for me. Again, I like things that are a little bit fast and stuff like that. I like stuff that's pretty much got an electric, anything that's got an electric guitar in it basically, but this was really good to see him live twice. Pretty much made the album's now grown on me a little bit. The songs that did Tranquility Based, 4 out of 5, they've now grown on me a lot now that I've kind of like taken time listening to them a bit more. It's more like a sort of chill out album more than a big hard rock album. So if you take it for that reason instead of it being what the Monkeys did a few years ago back in 2006, 2007 when they first came out, you think about it, the way they've come and the way they've evolved and matured, you think about it like that, and yeah, they've actually come a long way. So that was that. And then they did a bit of a difference. They closed with Are You Mine, if I remember correctly, at Transmit. And that night they closed with 505, which is still an amazing closer for the show. And that pretty much closed the whole weekend. And then we had the fireworks at the end afterwards. Now, the fireworks, to be honest, wasn't that spectacular, but it was still like a good effort and stuff. Just, again, it's like just a thing that was thrown on the side. But again, I thought it was fantastic. So that was for the Rock Werchter weekend. And now, time for an all-important gig update. Now, this has changed a little bit since I last did one a few months ago. But anyway, I'm so excited to announce some of these gigs. This is actually one of the best gig updates I've done so far. So, without any further ado, the next gig we'll be going to will be next weekend. We'll be seeing Catfish and the Bottlemen at Bella Houston Park in Glasgow on next Saturday the 25th of August. In addition, we'll be seeing Twin Atlantic, we'll be seeing the DMAs, we may be seeing Peace, and a band I'm really looking forward to see again, Frank Hart and the Rattlesnakes. So again, stay tuned for that. And then the next gig, as far as I know, or like as we know for now, this may be subject to change again, but anyway, we'll be seeing Slayer at the Hydro on the 12th of November, and we're seeing them along with Anthrax, Obituary and Lamb of God. Seen Lamb of God before, so I'm excited to see them again. And then this next gig, pretty excited to announce this, we'll be seeing Yumi at 6 at the Barrowlands on the 28th of November, and that's the gig they'll be playing the whole of the first album, Take Off Your Colours, so I'm pretty excited to see that. And then the next gig after that, now in between this may be subject to change, but I will do that nearer the time if there are any more gigs announced in between. But the next gig after that won't be until the new year, so we've got Enter Shikari, we'll be seeing them at the Barrowlands on the 23rd of January 2019, and that's going to be good. It'll be my third time seeing them, so stay tuned for that. And then this next band, as far as I know, and I've been waiting literally 2 years to say this, I'm so excited to finally announce this. We'll be seeing 21 Pilots at the Hydro in Glasgow on the 4th of March 2019. I'm really excited for this, literally since I first heard Stressed Out and then a few other songs they did after that. And ever since they did this Mammoth US tour at the States a couple of years ago, I've been dying for them to come back, so I kindly can't believe I'm going to have announced that. So that's that. And then the last gig we have for just now, and again this will probably be subject to change maybe nearer the time, we'll be seeing the Dropkick Murphys at the Academy in Glasgow on the 22nd of April. So that's all the gigs we have for just now, and that's been your Rock Werchter review. So until then, I will see you at Catfish in the Bottom End at Bella Houston Park next Saturday. See you later.